Experts are predicting mortgage prisons. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Grab your stein of coffee because we're going to have a look at another article, this one about mortgage prisons and how Aussies may be forced to sell their homes. A viewer left a comment on a recent video saying that my argument that we're not really seeing a housing crash until we get to pre-COVID levels, it doesn't matter for all the people that bought in during the mania phase of the lockdowns when everyone jumped into housing. They may get into negative equity, they may be in trouble, and they may be forced out of their homes. Now, I would make the argument that people will do whatever they can to stay part of the home ownership class here in Australia. There is a class divide between renters and home owners. If you don't believe there is, you're pretty much kidding yourself, guys. I mean, come on. That's what Australia is. It's not fair. It's not reasonable. It's complete bullshit. It goes against the whole Australia as an egalitarian society, but it's there. So the reason I say, it's not really a big crash until we get to pre-COVID levels is because I'm remembering back to pre-pandemic levels, before the pandemic even existed, when we were discussing insane house prices here in Australia, inflated house prices, and people were predicting significant corrections and crashes just because of this ludicrous costs that people are taking on board to buy these houses. But I'm becoming more cynical because of how much the government intervened in the economy just for the COVID, just for the lockdowns, and how they use housing repeatedly to stimulate the economy. And if you combine that with the not in my backyard crowd, the challenges with council, state and federal government trying to work together with conflicting interests, you've got politicians that keep talking about housing affordability while not actually addressing any of the real issues. You've got immigration that's shot right back up to previous levels. You've got a construction apocalypse where builders are going under left, right and center due to inflated construction costs, labor shortages, challenges from the weather and fixed price contracts. There's a lot there that can support this sector, guys. There's a lot there that can support it. So the other issue is we're going to see some people may be forced into mortgage prisons. That's what they're talking about. That's where your equity is so low or potentially even negative, you're not able to switch banks. Now, here's the question I will put to you. How often do Aussies switch banks for their mortgages? Maybe the brokers who watch the show could let us know in the comments. I know there was a lot of refinancing in the last few years because, rates were bullshit. You had 1.99% mortgages. You had even less. My neighbor beat me. She got 1.79. So they're crazy low mortgages. So, of course, everyone refinanced. They locked it in. They tried to take advantage of it. But just in the norm, how often do people do it? What will happen is it'll be the APRA rules and the APRA buffer stopping people getting a better deal. So the rules, legislations and market interventions that have been put in place to keep consumers safe will hurt consumers. So you could be borrowing a loan, paying on a 6% interest, but if you want to go down to a mortgage with a 5% interest, you'll be judged on your ability to pay an 8% loan. So even though you're going down to save money, it's going to be harder to get that loan than what you already have. So this is the problem. This is the problem. But don't worry, it's for our own good. So let's jump over and have a look at this article, guys. So this is from Yahoo. Why Australians could be forced to sell their homes. Now remember, banks don't want to force you to sell your homes, okay? Because it's a pain in the ass. It costs money. It causes problems. What you'll have is you'll probably have quiet taps on the shoulder. But yeah, we'll have to see. Remember, during lockdown, they gave mortgage holidays, everyone. They gave people holidays on their bloody mortgages. We were reading articles about professionals thankful to the banks. They were thanking the banks for the mortgage holidays because that's the only way they could stay in their house. Now, that's a little concerning. Well, what that tells me is we've had it so good here in Australia. You've got people that through all their working lives don't even know what a recession is. I barely remember the last recession we had in Australia because I was a child. I was 8 years old. And the only reason I have memories of it is because my father was a builder, okay? And in Victoria at the time, it got quiet. So what did? We moved to Queensland. Like all the Victorians, we came up to Queensland and They played AFL a bit differently, I tell you. They didn't kick the ball and they ran into each other. They had this weird colour, maroon. I didn't know what that was, and I think they called fruit boxes poppers or something. It was weird here coming to this state. But the weather was bloody good, guys. I've acclimatized now. Oh boy, don't think I could handle, 5 seasons in one day in Victoria. But anyway, let's have a look at this about the experts' warnings. So, more Aussies will become mortgage prisoners, an expert has warned, following a decision to keep a high buffer on homes. Or home loans. Yeah, that's it. This is intervention, market intervention, guys. It's for ihre Sicherheit. For ihre Sicherheit. This week, the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority decided to stick with its current 3% serviceability buffer on home loans. That means providers will continue to add this amount to their interest rates when assessing whether to approve mortgage applications. For instance, if you had a $500,000 loan with a 4% interest rate, you would be assessed on whether you can afford to make repayments at 7%. The Financial Brokers Association of Australia said keeping the existing buffer meant more Australians won't be able to refinance or negotiate a better rate, which could have drastic consequences for some. Many borrowers will become mortgage prisoners, locked into a situation where they can't access a better deal because they don't meet the inflated assessment rate, the FBAA managing director said. Others may be forced into selling their homes because of the buffers. We'll see if they're forced to sell their homes, honestly. So, CanStar editor-at-large and money expert Effie Sehos said there was a need for APRA to raise the buffer rate when interest rates hit rock bottom during the pandemic. The act's in the interest of protecting borrowers from future rate hikes. The buffer applies to both new borrowers and existing borrowers hoping to refinance their home loan. So, guys, and we can see here, well, there you go. There's the issue with the cash rate target. So, let's have a bit of a talk about this one. Now, the takeaway from this is government interventions, putting rules on the bank for our safety, for consumer protection, to keep us safe, are going to hurt some Australians. Now, do you think that's fair? Are you happy for that? Do you want that damage to ripple through the economy? Because, okay, it'll hurt some. They may have to pay a bit more. A couple may have to sell their house. But that's the sacrifice that we expect for the greater good. Or what's more likely is people don't understand the implications of these types of interventions on the individual person. They just want to maintain the stability of the system. They like the soundbite. It sounds good. The consequences be what they are. That's the Australian way, guys. We'll have to see. I can't see us... I can't see Australia reducing the red tape anytime soon. We're not a laid-back country. Come on, who are we kidding? Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out my other channels, HeiserBim and Heiser Does. And if you're a fan and enjoy the channel, you can support us on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, guys. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode of Heiser Says. Bye for now.